The year is 1945. The world holds its breath as the fate of nations hangs in the balance. But what if history had taken a different turn? What if the Allies had lost? It began with Nazi Germany's aggressive expansion across Europe, swallowing up nations one by one. Hitler's war machine seemed unstoppable, crushing Poland, Denmark, Norway, and France in quick succession. World War II was a global conflict that reshaped the world as we know it. But the tide of war began to turn. The Battle of Stalingrad became a turning point on the Eastern Front, where Soviet forces dealt a crushing blow to the German army. Meanwhile, on the Western Front, the DA landings in Normandy marked the beginning of the end for Nazi-occupied Europe. The United States, having entered the war after the attack on Pearl Harbor, brought its industrial might to bear. The race for the atomic bomb, won not by the United States, but by Nazi Germany. A vast empire built on conquest and subjugation. Two superpowers, ideologically opposed, each armed with devastating weapons. The Iron Curtain descends not across Eastern Europe, but along the English Channel. With no atomic bombs to force its surrender, Japan's empire stretches across East Asia and the Pacific Islands. Australia and New Zealand live under constant threat of invasion. The United States, its resources divided between two fronts, struggles to contain Japanese expansion. The swastika flies over Paris, London, and Moscow. The ultimate weapon of mass destruction in the hands of a regime that had already demonstrated its willingness to commit unspeakable atrocities. We're forced to confront the fragility of the freedoms we often take for granted. How close did we come to this dystopian future? Would the human spirit, that unquenchable thirst for freedom and dignity, have eventually triumphed over tyranny? Or would the boot have stayed firmly on the face of humanity, grinding down hope, generation after generation? What twists of fate? What crucial decisions? Hit that notification bell to stay updated on all our upcoming videos. Remember, by understanding the past and the paths not taken, we gain valuable insights into shaping our future. What acts of heroism and sacrifice steered us away from this dark path? Never take your freedom for granted. Instead of opening a two-front war, the Nazi war machine focused its full might on Western Europe and North Africa. We'll explore another pivotal moment in history and ask, what if the Cuban Missile Crisis had escalated into full-scale nuclear war? How would the world look today if the Cold War had turned hot? Without Allied liberation of the death camps, the full extent of Nazi atrocities might remain hidden for decades. Or worse, the systematic extermination of undesirables could continue unabated, expanding to encompass all of occupied Europe, without the Eastern Front to drain its resources, the East Coast. Nominally free, but living under the shadow of Nazi influence. The West Coast, a puppet state of Imperial Japan, and in between, a vast neutral zone, a battleground of ideologies and covert operations. Germany's technological advancements in rocketry and jet propulsion might have tipped the scales. American factories churned out planes, tanks, and ships at an unprecedented rate. The Manhattan Project raced to develop the atomic bomb. Nazi Germany was defeated, its leaders brought to justice at Nuremberg. Advanced technology turned towards monitoring and control rather than progress and innovation. Resistance movements spring up, only to be ruthlessly crushed. The dream of democracy and freedom becomes a distant memory. Whispered about in secret meetings and underground publications, the largest amphibious invasion in history crushed on the beaches of Normandy. Allied forces decimated, with no foothold in continental Europe. The psychological blow to the Allied war effort would have been immeasurable. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief as the specter of fascism was vanquished. A weapon that would ultimately bring Japan to its knees. In the end, the Allies emerged victorious. But what if things had gone differently? What if a single decision, a single moment, had altered the course of history? Dramatic pause. Imagine a world where Hitler never made the fateful decision to invade the Soviet Union, or perhaps D-Day failed. What if the Manhattan Project had stalled? In this alternate timeline, Nazi Germany emerges as the dominant power in Europe. Its borders stretch from the Atlantic to the Urals. The United States, spared from invasion by the Atlantic Ocean, finds itself locked in a Cold War with the Third Reich. In this world, the Holocaust takes on a different, perhaps even more horrifying dimension. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, Imperial Japan reigns supreme. Sound of waves and distant explosions. Imagine a world where the American mainland itself is divided, much like Berlin in our timeline. This new world order is built on fear and oppression. It's a massive surveillance state keeps the population in check. Sound of hushed voices and shuffling papers as we contemplate this chilling alternate reality. And if the Nazis had won, would resistance have ever succeeded? These are questions without easy answers. But they serve as a stark reminder of the price of complacency and the value of vigilance in protecting our democratic institutions. Music swells in our next episode. If you found this journey through alternate history as fascinating as we have, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, fade to black.